everyone, Chris here. Today we are building a basic version of the GPIO expander, a simpler, more budget-friendly alternative to the industrial module I made earlier. It uses the same MCP IC but without the extra protection and fancy features, making it perfect for hobbyists and makers. Let's dive in. I designed this basic expander as a cost-effective solution for anyone who needs extra I/O pins without the industrial-grade protection. It's simpler to assemble, cheaper to produce, and still gives you 16 additional GPIO channels per module, and you can chain up to 8 modules together, giving you a whopping 128 GPIOs controlled via I²C. That's a lot of pins from just 4 wires. Let's check the circuit schematic comparison to the previous version. I produced my schematic through Altium Develop, and here are the key changes from the industrial version. For cost reduction, I removed the ULN driver. Now you can drive LEDs or low power loads directly from the MCP GPIOs. I also removed the optocouplers, so there is no optical isolation here. The MCP ports are directly connected to terminal blocks. This means it's not for industrial use, but perfectly fine for prototyping and hobby projects. The 7-segment display has been replaced with 3 LEDs that show the I²C bus in binary. And this way, I also get rid of the BCD driver. In the same I²C topic, the slide switches were replaced with 3 simple jumpers for address selection. The DC-DC converter has been replaced with a cheaper linear regulator. But I kept the good stuff. The MCP is still the heart of the expander, the bridge rectifier is still there for reverse polarity protection, the jack connector and screw terminal are still there for flexible power entry. I also used grouped resistor networks for parts optimization. All resistors are valued at 1k ohm, except the I²C pull-up resistors, which are 4.7k ohm. The schematic is very basic. We have 15 components less than the previous version, so transforming it into a PCB design is not complicated. But for sure, some details should be taken into consideration. Starting from the overall board size, in the industrial version, the size was 103 by 60 mm, which exceeded the $2 size limit by just 3 mm. But in the basic version, the size is 100 by 40 mm, which fits perfectly in the 100 by 100 mm $2 PCB offer from JLCPCB. Yes, you can get this board manufactured for just $2. I also fixed a layout mistake from the industrial version. In that version, I placed the I²C in and out connectors right next to each other at the bottom left. The out connector was blocked by the terminal block next to it, making daisy chaining modules impossible. In this basic version, I moved the I²C out to the bottom right corner and kept the I²C in at the bottom left. Now you can chain modules smoothly from left to right, just like a real I²C bus should work. As usual, I provided access to this project's design files through Altium Cloud Collaboration feature. You can view the full schematic and PCB through this interactive web-based platform. You can even search components or nets and get them automatically highlighted for faster reference. To access it, just click the link in the video description to request access, and I will approve it. Now with the PCB ready, we can take a final 3D render observation to confirm the design, and then we place a PCB order. I moved to JLCPCB where I uploaded the design Gerber files and selected a purple soda mask color, because why not make it look cool? You can see that the board is eligible for the $2 special offer. I also activated the stencil order to help with the board assembly. 6 days later, I received this iconic blue box from JLCPCB containing the PCBs and the stencil, both shipped together. And here are our PCBs, very well manufactured. Now for the assembly routine, we go through the same steps. Aligning the stencil to the PCB, securing it, then gently applying solder paste evenly to all pads. After that, I carefully pick it and place it each component to its placement on the board, paying attention to orientation to avoid any hardware troubles later. I then took the board to my mini hot plate to complete the assembly step. And here is a microscopic view of the assembly process. There is something truly satisfying about watching solder paste turn into shiny, perfect joints. With all those SMD parts to solder it, I completed the soldering of the through-hole components like the jack connector and terminal blocks. Regarding the terminal blocks in the industrial version, I used compact 3.5mm connectors with a small footprint, but they were delicate to wire. In this basic version, I used 5mm connectors, which are more comfortable to wire and easier for beginners. A small change that makes a big difference. Now time to test the board. I connected the I²C port to my Arduino, where I uploaded a code that scrolls through all outputs. I defined an address 1 for this module through those jumpers, and the first binary LED lit up to indicate the bit status. Compared to the previous version, we don't have LEDs at the outputs to visualize the GPIO status, so I designed this testing circuit that connects to the module's terminal block. It has status LEDs for each channel, and here we go. The LEDs start scrolling from GPIO 1 all the way to GPIO 16. But wait, there is more. I tried to chain two modules together and updated the Arduino code. I set the address of the first module to 1 and the second module to 3. And here it goes. The GPIO starts scrolling from GPIO 1 all the way to GPIO 32, which confirms the circuit functioning perfectly. Thus 32 GPIOs from just two tiny boards. That's it for today, guys. Give me your thoughts on the comments section for any other suggestions. One last thing, make sure you are doing electronics every day. It was Chris. See you next time.